up, YouTubers and microgrinders? Out from MicroGrinder.com, back with another episode of our How to Beat Bovada Zone series. So it's a Saturday night, and I decided that I'd do a short video. I'm drinking my pre-workout drink right now with my nitrous oxide, my creatine, and my caffeine. And it says to have about 30 minutes between after you drink that before you start working out. So figured I'd do a little bit of a mini zone session. And so let's go ahead and get started. I have 2 tables of 10NL up here and 2 tables of 5NL down here. But before I get started, let me go ahead and give you an update on how I've been doing overall playing zone. So let me pull up my website. These are my wall graphs. And let me go ahead and click and give you more details on how I'm doing with zone compared to regular play. So here's my standard 6 max and here's zone. And it's on for both 10NL and 5NL. And at 10NL, around 31,000 hands, I'm winning close to 14 big blinds per 100. Made around $435. For 10NL, I'm around 5 big blinds per 100. Played around close to 12,000 hands and only made around $60. For 5NL, around 11.5 big blinds per 100. Typically, this normalizes for me around 12 big blinds per 100, but I'm on a bit of a downswing. Played around 70,000 hands there, just over $400 winnings there. And then same thing for 5NL zone. It's close to 5 big blinds per 100. We're a little lower, and I've made around $83 on there, playing close to 37,000 hands. So what you can see if you are thinking about playing zone versus standard 6 max on Bovada at the micro stakes is that if you're a decent player, the standard 6 max games are way more profitable. And if you look at it, you can be anywhere between having a 2 times or 3 times higher win rate when you're playing your regular games versus your zone games. But the downside is that the games are slower. You're not going to get as many hands in. And so, I think it all evens out in the long run if we look at hourly rates, but I haven't really looked at that just because you're going to play a lot more hands per an hour. But if you're just looking for a higher big blind per 100 rate, you're going to want to stick to the standard games and stay away from zone. Like I said, in zone, I think win rates are going to be lower. And for me, with this challenge, doing this How to Beat the Zone series, I'm trying to get a decent volume in. And I want to see what my win rates look once I get a decent sample size. But so far, they're looking like they're both going to be around 5 big blinds per 100. And we'll see how that goes. So let's go ahead and get started with the actual play. And let me go ahead and start up my hold'em indicator so it can track how I'm doing during the session. So just going to go ahead and fold my junky hand, and here we're going to go ahead and raise the limper. Not a great flop for us here, especially when we get flatted by this player. This guy only has 24 cents behind. I'm just going to go ahead and check. So when he bets here, he could easily have a queen in his range. He could easily have a hard draw. I'm definitely not folding. I'm going to go ahead and call. But when he bets again on the river, we're just going to go ahead and give him a credit. Easily has a queen in his range, so I think we're just going to be go ahead and folding a lot. And down here, going to go ahead and bet a bit on the larger side. So I'm going to go ahead and fold the 10s. Unfortunately, with our set here, he has nothing. So the reason why I like checking the flop with the 10s there when we have 2 players in the hand is that a queen is easily in their range and a flush is also within their range as well. And so when we bet there, we're only getting called by a flush draw or a queen, and our pocket 10s aren't going to be doing too well against that range. Now on this draw, I'm going to go ahead and represent the queen since we are playing heads up. And so for that reason, I like checking the 10s instead. Especially because it was multi-ways. We definitely be raising up the kings, so here I'm going to go ahead and make it 40 cents. With so many limpers in the pot, I definitely want to just go ahead and build up the pot, and of course I'm never folding here. If he wakes up with aces, good for him. And we got him crushed. With the gutter here, I'm going to go ahead and lead out. And with the ace here, I am going to go ahead and bet. We don't have to bet too big. So, like I was saying earlier before we started the actual play, is that if you're newer to playing at the micro stakes, I recommend just staying away from zone and just sticking to a standard 6 max. And that's not only if you're just playing on Bovada. I'm going to make it 3x versus him. He has 120 big blinds, so I'm definitely just going to make it a little larger versus somebody that had normal stack or under normal stack. I'd probably make around 40 cents, but it's zone. Nobody can track each other, so I just want to build the pot right now. But anyways, getting back to my previous discussion is that, if you're new to poker, I recommend just staying away from zone and just playing standard 6 max games. They're way softer on every single side. Zone's going to be a lot harder, and you just want to stick to the easier games. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and bet on the larger side because it's a really wet pot. And he folds, and we take it down. And so if you're still learning the game's going to be a lot easier for you. It's not going to be as aggressive as a game, regardless of where you're playing. So my recommendation is to stick to the softer sides, and it's going to be easy peasy. Versus if you start going to zone, or you start playing snap, or you start playing fast forward, or you start playing Zoom poker, those games are going to be a lot tougher to beat, and the opponents are going to be a lot more aggressive. So just stay away from them. And easy snap call. So definitely running good at the start of this mini session. Definitely like that. Eight six. Just go ahead and fold. Standard c-bet here as a semi-bluff. When he calls, we do pick up the 9 on the turn. I am going to go ahead and check now that I have decent showdown value. But when he bombs river, when he pot sizes it, I'm just going to go ahead and fold. I think he always has top pair at that point. Interesting. This guy checks it down when he flops the boat. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be checking down multiple streets here. I'm just going to overlimp behind. I don't mind him checking the flop and maybe checking the turn sometimes, but he needs to start going for value sometime. Just don't check it down all 3 streets. So I'm going to go ahead and lead out here. We have top pair. And with the king queen off here, I'm just going to be check folding. And here I'm just going to flatten the min raise. We're both a little deep. And now I pick up bottom pair with a backdoor flush draw and backdoor nut straight draw. So definitely a decent flop for us. Against this opponent, I'm going to go ahead and check for pot control. And I think the 10's good for us. He could have us out kicked. I don't know what we get called by with worse because our kicker sucks, so I'm just going to go ahead and check. So here I let out as a semi-bluff with the flush draw, the straight draw on the turn when he played passive. When he called, I'm just going to go ahead and check. Try to get to showdown, try to get him to check on the river. And he takes it down with his baby ace. So yeah, I don't think he's folding that on the river either. So it's a good check on our end. Go ahead and raise a limper. I don't like isolating a little too wide, so I'm going to go ahead and fold the queen 10 off. Some people might call that super nitty, but I think that it's the right play against a complete unknown. It's hard for him to have a queen here, so I am going to go ahead and lead out as a value bet here. Go ahead and fold our 4 deuce off. Go ahead and fold our 6 queen off, and keep folding all the junk hands. We could go ahead and turn this into a bluff. I tend to like to do it versus the button. They tend to fold more often than the cutoff, and I prefer to have something like an ace 5 through an ace deuce, simply because I can make the wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and fold. Versus 3-bet, just go ahead and fold. Not a great flop for us here. I don't think we have much fold equity. This hits a lot of his range. Lots of draws. I'm just going to go ahead and check. And I am going to go ahead and fire out delayed c-bet here. And here I'm going to go ahead and fire out. We got an up down, so decent flop for us. Big slick, I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet for value. And good flop for us, really wet board texture, so I'm just going to go bomb pot. Pocket aces, hopefully somebody opens up so I can 3-bet them. And we get a big raise, so I really like that. I'm going to be making this a pretty big raise. Do not like this flop with my queens. Hopefully he just jams over. Simply because lots of opponents have a king in their range. And given this wet board texture, and we get 2 callers, I'm going to go ahead and bet on the larger side and pot commit myself. And here with queens, I'm just going to go ahead and check it down. And he's drawing dead, so it works out with us. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and check down the queens because I have really great showdown value. I highly doubt this opponent ever has a king in his range. But then when he does fire on the river, I think he could potentially have the flush. So versus the min raise, I'm going to go ahead and call since we're both deep. And I'm just going to go ahead and fold when he makes decent sized bet here for value. I really don't know what I beat. I don't beat trip 7s. I don't beat a king X. I don't beat the flush. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold my queens. I'm going to go ahead and call. Oops, and I timed out here. I was thinking about the hand. I should have called there. That was my bad. Would have been a good turn for us because we picked up a flush draw along with our pair. And we have second best pair there, so I did not mean to fold there. That was my fault. So I think I'm going to go ahead and sit out the next hand. Like I said, this was going to be a really short session simply because I'm getting ready to work out. Caffeine is starting to kick in, and yeah, I want to start hitting the weights now. So sandwiched between both these opponents, I'm not going to fire out even though it's a dry board texture. I would prefer against one opponent or being positioned to both of them. But not knowing what he is going to do, if he was second to act, I'm just going to go ahead and opt for a check. And then when he bets there, he could easily have a queen in his range. So let's go ahead and make the fold. But yeah, overall, this is a super short session. I kind of wish I wasn't working out now, but I need to make it a priority. In general, everybody, we should be exercising on a regular basis, and so we should be working out. And, not focusing too much time on poker. It's a good session. It was a good session. I was running well. This would have been really interesting here since I had the second nut flush and tons of money was going in the pot. So I don't know if I really wanted to be in that hand or not. It probably would have been up against an ace X of diamonds. But, overall, good session. About a half a buy-in up here and about 1.5 buy-ins down here. So all that in around, 120 hands maybe even less than that. So definitely like it. Good stuff. But, that's the thing with zone is that when you're running well and people are getting cards where they're getting coolers, you're going to do well and win a lot. But when you're on the flip side, variance is going to smack dab and hit you in the face with downswings. So you're either going to go on upswings and downswings. At least it's going to feel like it when you're multi-tabling speed poker versus if you're just playing standard 6 max or if you're used to playing live games where you're seeing like 30 hands per an hour. You jump into games like these and you start thinking, what the hell? My bankroll's all over the place. I'm either up or I'm down. I don't get it. So, that's just one thing to think about when you're playing speed poker. But anyways, been out with MicroGrinder.com. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. Go ahead and click this little subscribe button down here in the bottom, and you'll be updated on a regular basis with all of our new videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next video.